Stacey and I work for DNA Vet Care, and this is Michaela. She's a ringneck parakeet, and I'm just going to share with you some interesting facts about these little guys. They're called ringneck parakeets because the boys, they have a black ring around their neck, which can go also rosy coloured, which makes them even more handsome. They can live 20 to 30 years old, which is quite a lot for a little bird. Once the eggs are laid, 22 days later, the chicks hatch, and then they leave the nest. 7 days after that, they go and fend for themselves. And they can be found in the UK in colonies. They're thought to have escaped from a film studio in the 1950s. And they like urban areas. They seem to like the hustle and bustle of towns and cities and like being around people. So I think you'll agree, she's quite gorgeous and they are quite interesting.
Hello everyone, my name is Lauren, I am a registered veterinary nurse and this is our lovely Darcy. We're just going to talk through a few facts today about tortoises, just for your information. So Darcy is a horsefield tortoise. Horsefield tortoises originate from Central Asia. They tend to live in places such as deserts and mountains which are hot and dry. Tortoises are known as reptiles. Reptiles are known for their dry scaly skin and also the fact that they lay eggs. They tend to eat on vegetation, but calcium is very important in their diet, and sometimes this can be supplemented in those tortoises that we keep as pets. So because of that, however, sometimes in the wild they are also known to eat from protein sources, and sunlight and UV rays are really important in helping this process for them. Tortoises, as you may know, can live for a very long time. They have been known to live over 150 years old. There was a very famous tortoise who is known as a giant tortoise called Lonesome George, who lived in the Galapagos Islands, and he lived till 100. They have a very hard shell, which I'm sure you're aware of. The shell is very sensitive to touch. They do enjoy an odd stroke and a little bit of fuss. However, it is used to protect them from predators, and they can retract their head, their limbs and their tail inside should they feel frightened or startled. They don't have teeth like me or you. They rely on their beak to eat, nor do they have ears, but they do have holes in the side of their heads. They do have 2 holes. They generally hibernate in the winter months, and this usually is from October to March time when it is cold. However, some smaller tortoises or some that maybe aren't well can stay out of hibernation. They are very complex animals to keep as pets, but they are lovely. They do like attention and fuss. They are different to turtles though, however. They can't swim, however they do enjoy bathing in small, shallow, lukewarm water. So that's a little few facts about tortoises and our lovely Darcy.
Hi there, so we're going to go through some interesting facts about hedgehogs. So unfortunately hedgehogs are on the decline, okay? Back in the 1950s when they did an estimated number count, they reckon there was 36.5 million hedgehogs in the UK. Nowadays they are estimating that is only about 1.5 million. That's because they're losing their habitat to all the building work that's going on, and also they are living in urban areas, so they're at risk from getting squashed from cars and moving into areas with predators. In the wild, a healthy hedgehog will live 2 to 5 years, and they are also nocturnal, so you might see them out through the day, but generally they are in bed through the day and then do all their nighttime hunting. They eat bugs and grubs and worms, so they are carnivorous, and they will also hibernate between October and March.
Hi there, my name is Robert. I'm a registered nurse here at Mayo Vets. This is, as you can see, a snake. And this particular snake is a royal python. She belongs to one of our nurses, Demi. Pandora is her name, and she is a very friendly snake. Snakes are predator animals, so in the wild they do actually hunt live animals. When they're kept in captivity, they're normally fed sort of frozen rodents and what have you. They come from Africa, and obviously in Africa their climate and condition they live in is very different to the UK. So they live in a thing called a vivarium. A vivarium is a special house that's made for them. It has all the things in their environment that they would normally have. And it's also kept at a good temperature for them. Snakes are cold-blooded, so they need to be kept warm. They actually get all their temperature from sort of the sun and the environment. They're not able to produce their own body heat like we are. Pandora is a snake that gives birth to eggs, so no live young. She lays eggs. Those kinds of snakes are called oviparous, the ov in there referring to the egg part. Some snakes actually do give birth to live young, they're called viviparous, so slightly different there. And when they give birth to live young, those little babies are actually little miniature versions of their parents. They're completely self-able to live their lives. They don't need any mummy and daddy. The eggs need a lot more care than sort of their live-born counterparts. The eggs need to be looked after by the snakes. They need to be protected and kept warm. They often bury their eggs in mounds, and that's what their little nest is. Snakes have little forked tongues. Their eyesight is pretty bad. So what they do is they use their tongues to actually sniff the environment. She may not come out now, but as you can see, her eyes are quite big, but she actually can't see very well. So in order to sense the environment, their little forked tongue comes out. They pick up the scent from the environment, and that's how they sort of smell the environment, find out where they are. Snakes aren't aggressive, they're very defensive, and as long as you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. But because she's been brought up in captivity, she's used to being handled, and she is quite friendly. We have two breeds of snakes in the UK. We have the grass snake, who is not a venomous snake. Most snakes actually aren't venomous, most are constrictors like Pandora here. We do have one kind of venomous snake in the UK, it's called an adder, and it's not normally considered deadly. Its venom isn't that potent. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name's Tanner and I'm one of the veterinary surgeons at Manor Vets, and here's some interesting facts about cats. So firstly, they're one of the most popular pets in the world, which isn't surprising because they're very cuddly and loving and soft to touch, and they're always up for a good game of chase the ball. Other than that, cats sleep for 13 to 14 hours a day, which is a really long time, but they do need to conserve energy. The biggest cat in the world is the Siberian tiger, weighing up to 400 kilograms. And the smallest cat in the world is the rusty spotted cat, which weighs about 1 to 1.5 kilograms, so very tiny. They can also, surprisingly, have 7 toes. It's not a very well-known fact, but if you find a cat with one, it's quite rare.
Hello, my name's Felicity. I'm one of the vets from the Stratton Hill Veterinary Clinic, and we have another lovely little pet in today. This is an African land snail belonging to one of our nurses, Carolyn. So as you can see, much bigger than a regular snail that we'd see in England. These guys can actually get up to about 18 centimetres in length, and we actually measured him a little bit earlier on. He's only 12 centimetres, so they can get a lot bigger than this again. So yeah, really quite big. They live to about 5 to 7 years of age, and they're quite nice to keep as pets. You just need a nice tank set up for them. They mainly live on fruit and veggies, but they definitely also need a good calcium supply, so make sure that they've got something like cuttlefish as well if you are going to keep one. And probably the last really interesting thing about them is they're hermaphrodites, which means that they're actually a combination of male and female with their gender, so they're mixed up. And he's just actually come out to say hello, which is lovely. He's come out of his shell finally.